A New World, Part 2. It's your boy Icon with a DC TV review for you. We only got 2 more episodes to go after this one, and it is very sad. And I just saw the series finale of Titans, and that shit broke my heart. But more on that review later. But now we're talking about The Flash, and in this particular episode, it actually starts with Eddie Thawne, but we'll get to Eddie in the end. This episode takes place pretty much at the exact same time as last episode, when Barry went back in time to have the moment where he becomes the Flash that tells his younger self, don't come out the room. At the time that all that was going on, Team Flash was dealing with a bigger crisis. Iris was telling the team, she was like, oh, Barry's missing, and she doesn't know where he is, so everybody's trying to find him. And that brings back good old Mark, good old Chillblade. And he's been in the opening credits since the season started, and he's been gone for maybe like 4 or 5 episodes. But now he's back because he's a season regular because he got in the opening credits, so he needs to be back at some point. So he's back, and he's telling everybody that, Barry never gave up on me, and I'm not going to give up on Barry. We're going to find Barry Allen, damn it. This leads to a montage of betrayal on Mark's part because he was taken over by the negative Speed Force. And the negative Speed Force, now that it's controlling him, he's basically telling Mark, to take out Team Flash one by one, because the negative Speed Force knows that the only way that he can take down the only way it can take down the Flash for good is if it takes out his friends and his family. So this way, because the whole goal is to get to Iris. It wants to get to Iris so it can kill Iris and then kill the baby, because Iris is the lightning rod, and without the lightning rod, the Flash will fall. So first he takes out Allegra, knocks Allegra out. He gasses CC Media. Iris gets locked in the office while her team is there suffocating to death and everything. But the one girl, she was like, no, you go back in your office and protect your baby. And then Iris calls for help, and then that brings Chillblade, and that brings Keon, to CC Media. And then when Keon and Chillblade are there, they're trying to figure out what's going on. Keon actually used her powers of Gaia, the spirit of the earth. She used her power to save the people that were affected by the gas. But then because plants, they did this on Supergirl too, because plants basically carry oxygen inside of them. So Keon used plant-based organisms into their systems to help them breathe because they were suffocating from the gas. So but when she did it, and when she pumped them full of the spirit of the earth, it turned them green. But she said after a while your body will adjust to it and it'll turn back to normal. The two people freaked out, and they were just like, oh, what did you do to us? You're a monster. And then they ran away. So then later on, Keon's basically trying to deal with that whole thing, and then that's when Mark was just like, oh, you're a monster, what you did to those people, you turned them into freaks. And when the way he was reading her the riot act, I was like, nah, this can't be Mark, because I was like, there's no way, because Mark wouldn't have spoken to her like that. Like, he was basically saying this woman was a piece of shit. And then she got upset, and then she walked away, so that took Keon off the board. So now Allegra's knocked out, Keon's gone, so now that leads us to, I guess, 3 more people. So then Iris, she ends up going back to Star Labs. She's hiding in the time vault along with Cecile. Cecile comes out because Mark had said he had that good old big belly burger. When Cecile comes out, he knocks her out, and then she's done for the count. He goes to Chester, and then while he's talking to Chester, he distracts Chester long enough to knock Chester out of the equation. So now Chester's out the equation, and the only 2 people left, it's Iris and it's Mark, who's controlled by the negative Speed Force. Then the negative Speed Force sees Iris, and then he's just like, oh, you're the only one left, and I'm gonna kill you and your little baby too. And he's just like, without you, the Flash will not have a lightning rod to return to. And then just before the negative Speed Force kills Iris, good old Nora shows up, the actual Speed Force, like the actual Speed Force in Nora form, taking the form of Barry's mother. The actual Speed Force shows up, knocks out, Mark, Chillblade, negative Speed Force, and then he's just like, oh, you can't resist in this earthly plane, you can't stay here long enough, and then once the Speed Force goes back to recharge, I'll be back to kill Iris West. And then now we get a conversation with Nora talking to Iris, and then Iris is just like, what do we do? And then that's when the Speed Force says, she's like, yo, we need Keon, because Keon actually has the power to stop all this. Iris sends Barry a message telling him that, she needs him to come back, and she's afraid for his life and all this other stuff, but she was like, I'm still your wife, and I'm still got your back, Barry, I'll always be here. And while she was giving the heart speech, because there's always like that Flash, like, heartwarming speech, when Iris was giving the speech, they showed us the scene where Barry was fighting the negative Speed Force in the year 2000, and that's when he had closed his eyes and powered up, and then both he and the negative Speed Force went through a standstill. Because the negative Speed Force is like traveling and existing through different points of time and space. So it was nice to know that the time frame of when Barry disappeared, that said it's happening at the exact same time as the whole thing, with them in Star Labs. So then she sends the message, and then after that, she's talking to Nora, then Nora, she calls Keon, she summons Keon, and then Keon's like, what am am I supposed to do? And then she's like, you're supposed to save everybody. But she's just like, oh, but I don't have a grip on my power. And then she was like, you fool. She's like, you have the power of everything. You know, she's like, you can feel it all, volcanoes, waterfalls, you know, rainbows, sunshine, and lollipops. She's like, it's all connected. It's like Gar on Titan. It's like if Titans and Flash was on the same Earth, I swear to God, Keon would have been in the red. So like, that was the only thing that was missing. But the red is more, I guess, more so for animals. So then Nora's just like, oh, I can't stay any longer because my strength won't hold out in the earthly plane. But she's like, Keon, do the right thing. So then Keon looks for Mark. She finds Mark down at Caitlyn's apartment. She goes down to Caitlyn's apartment. Keon powers up and basically busts his ass. So what she ended up doing, which was nice, the blue crystal was inside of Mark. And the negative Speed Force had said that there's no way for you to remove this crystal without killing Mark. And then that's when Keon was like, well, fuck it, then I'm just going to kill Mark. And she used her power. She turned Mark into dust. And then when Mark turned into dust, the crystal came out of him. And then she used her power to put him back together. So I'm just like, we do this now. But she later explained, she said that because she said that she returned Mark to the earth and then reformed him on the earthly plane. And then Mark was like, so what do we call you? And then I thought she was going to be like, call me Gaia. You know, but like I said, she's connected to everything, like every living being, like all sorts of like life and energy and so on. After she destroys Mark and then put Mark back together, the blue crystal disappeared. And then Iris went into labor. After Iris went into labor, Barry showed up because again, when he was talking to the Reverse Flash, then he said, thanks for giving me the piece that I always wanted. He ended up disappearing. And then he reappeared back at Star Labs. He saw Iris was going into labor and he went to go take him to the hospital. We never saw Allegra again after that. They said that Allegra was somewhere recovering and then she'll be here shortly. Iris is on the bed, get ready to pop. And then the rest of the team, Cecile, Barry, Keon, Mark, they're all in the waiting room. And then that's when Keon basically had said to Mark, because she was talking to Mark, she said that once the whole negative Speed Force saga is concluded, she said that she has to leave because if she's supposed to be connected to every living being, organism, whatever, plant-based or non-plant-based, she said that she can't stay with just one team. She needs to be able to connect all the way around and connect with different people. And again, I'm like, the whole time she's giving this speech, I'm like, this sounds like the Red on the Titans. So there better be a scene, like, it'd be really dope in the series finale if there's a scene where Keon and both Beast Boy are actually in the Red together, like having a conversation. But basically, she said that she's going to quit the team once the season's over. So then everybody was just like, no, Keon, you can't go. Then she was like, oh, but I must. And then Barry was just like, look, Keon, he was like, I don't care no more. He was like, whatever you do, we'll support you 100%. And then Barry turned blue and he disappeared again. So now he went to assumingly he went to a different point in time and space, and Lord knows where he is. And that's how that particular portion of the episode ended. So now Eddie Thawne's gone, and I am confused about whether or not Eddie Thawne is in a different timeline or is he on the exact same timeline with the Flash. Because when Barry disappeared, where did he go? Like, where could he have possibly gone? I saw in the coming attractions that there was a conversation where Eddie was like, oh, you forgot about me. You all forgot about me. So did Barry get transported to where Eddie Thawne actually is on a different Earth? Because, and I said this, I did say this in an old review. As a matter of fact, it might have been the last review when we were talking about the season 1 finale where Eddie shot himself and his body got sucked up into a vortex. And I said this last time, wherever Eddie landed, somehow he survived and got brought back to life, and he's been living a whole new life. But he said to Barry in the coming attractions trailer, he was like, oh, you all just was living your lives and you all forgot about me. So now I'm like, is Eddie on Earth Prime or is he on a different Earth, and where did Barry go? So anyway, so then Eddie, like I said, he goes to GCPD, and that was another thing because he went to GCPD and he was talking to the captain, he was talking to the police officers, but that wasn't Kramer. So if that wasn't Kramer, like I said, he has to be on a different Earth somewhere. So my guess is, and again, and I said this last week, my guess is when his body got sucked up into that vortex at the end of season 1, he ended up on a different Earth, somehow got resurrected, and then he ended up living a life under a different name. But he still has Eddie Thawne's memories. He has his emotions. He was thinking about Iris when they got married, the first time he met the Flash, and he knew Barry was the Flash. So he has all of Eddie Thawne's memories, and he was going crazy. So then at the end of the episode, he goes down to a graveyard to dig up Eddie's grave. And then that's another thing. If he's digging up Eddie Thawne's grave, he has to be on Earth Prime. Otherwise, how did he get to Eddie? Like, Eddie wouldn't have died on another Earth. So Or maybe he did. I don't know. Like that part is confused. Like I'm confused about where Barry's going and whether or not Eddie is on this Earth or is he on like a different Earth. But anyway, so he dug up Eddie Thawne's grave, and then when he dug up the grave, his body wasn't in it. And then his chest. Then he remembered the moment where he shot himself, and he was like, "I remember now." And he pulled the bullet out of his chest, and he was like, "I am Eddie Thawne, and I remember it all, and the Flash will pay," or whatever. And then there was some negative Speed Force energy lightning that came out of the sky, and then Eddie Thawne is the Avatar. Like, are we like? Can we all agree to that at this point? Can we agree that Eddie Thawne is the Avatar now, and he's coming for the Flash's ass? I saw young Nora. She gonna be in the episode next week. And thank you for tuning in. I still say that if Iris doesn't give birth, either Iris is going to give birth to Nora because Nora is going to be in the next episode, or in the series finale, we're going to get a scene where we have Nora, Bart, and then we're going to end up getting the Tornado twins, and then we're going to find out that they got 4 kids. Because, again, the line of we're going to need more diapers has still yet to be said on The Flash. So that was it. Share your questions, comments, and concerns, and let me know what you thought about this particular episode of The Flash. There really, aside from Keon, there really wasn't a lot to the episode. It was basically cut and dry. Like, Mark got taken over. He took the team down. Keon stopped him, c'est la vie. So it was mostly about, in the last 2 episodes, it's really more about where Eddie's going and the whole thing with Eddie feeling betrayed. And that's another thing. Eddie can't be like, oh, you all forgot about me. I'm like, bro, you shot yourself. Like, ain't nobody forget about your ass. Like, but share your questions, comments, and concerns down below, and we will talk about it. Check out my other reviews like Superman and Lois, which is on the channel. I'm doing Warrior. When Warrior comes back on June 29th on HBO Max, we will be reviewing Warrior. So look out for that as well, because that is a dope, awesome show. And for the love of God, after this video goes up, maybe in a couple of days, will be my review for the series finale of Titans. I'm just trying to put something together like very nice for them, because if you've been watching my channel, if you follow my channel, you know I like to do something, for the season or the series finale. But because this is the series finale, like I kind of want to do something special for Titans and say goodbye to the GOAT, Dick Grayson, and everybody else who was on the show. So that was it, guys. So take care. So until next week when we find out what Eddie Thawne's beef is on The Flash, we're out this.